Welcome to episode 8 of Soccerheads New England. We're going to call this one Missing Jim. Is it addition by subtraction? Jim Ruberti, one of our co-hosts, not with us because of his pesky day job. Jim works for the utilities, and we've had some storms. I don't want to tell you the utilities. I don't want to tell you what his job title is because I want people to be able to sleep at night. And I think people would have a tough time thinking that Jim was in charge of this storm cleanup. I'm here with Paul Nardizzi, comedian and international man of mystery. And I'm Dave Rattigan, comedian and international man of misery. And we might be calling in our engineer, Dale Lawrence, to help us out with a segment because we're going to do a segment on brain injury. And we know that Dale knows something about brain injury and heading. But we'll do that later on. Paul, I got to say, I don't think it's you. I don't think it's me. I know when we heard, and we want to let our listeners know that when we heard that Jim was going to be out, I called around. The closest I could get for a co-host was I called a pet store that I know some people there, and I thought I could get their pet chimpanzee to fill in.
I was looking forward to conversing soccer with the chimp.
I think it would not be that much different than talking with Jim.
The less he shows up, the less I remember that he's even on the show.
I know.
It's almost become, we used to text each other in a little threesome. I mostly just text you now, what time should I be there tomorrow?
Right.
Completely forgetting that there is another guy on the show.
Yeah, a lot of people forget him. Yeah. A lot of people forget him.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Anyway, moving on. We have 3 things on the agenda for today, plus a shout out to some high school programs in Rhode Island. The Max Prep's leaders in the rankings for Rhode Island boys and girls soccer. But first, we've been trying to build a relationship with the New England Revolution pretty much from the time that we've started this podcast. The Revolution set a points record this year, and Paul wants to criticize them just to be certain that we'll never have a relationship. Then we're going to talk about head balls. Is heading the ball a lost art in soccer? And finally, Paul's going to talk about my favorite part of the show we did a few weeks ago, great moments in sports, or in his case, great moments on the pitch. So so this is what I'm looking forward to wrap up the show with hearing your great story. I'm sure it's not as good as the last one, but how could it be when you talked about giving yourself a bloody nose to scare and intimidate the other team?
I should have put a disclaimer in. And should any young soccer fan listen to this show, a high school soccer player, I'm not encouraging anyone to ever try bloodletting before the game in order to intimidate the other team.
No, because why again? What was the reason? Because you fainted?
1, it was embarrassing. 2, they were not intimidated. 3, I was weak from loss of blood.
That's my favorite part of it. All right. Hey, did you have a good week? Did you get to watch a lot of soccer?
Of course.
The last time we saw?
Of course.
Did you see that? What was the game that you wanted me to watch that I watched a little bit about? It was violent. The CONCACAF.
The CONCACAF final between 2 Mexican giants. It was Club America against Monterrey.
Yes. It was a hard-fought game.
Yes.
Hard-fought being very aggressive on both sides.
So when they play the United States, you can tell they don't like each other.
Yep.
And, we're different countries and we have different cultures, so they want to hack you. You want to hack them a little but when they play each other, they clearly don't like each other.
Yeah.
Either.
So you think maybe they just have a problem with everybody?
Yeah. I think they do. So Monterrey won. And we look forward to next year when hopefully MLS will finally win the damn thing. And we have the Revs in it, so it would be great if they could get to the finals.
And the Revs are in it because they led the league in wins, points. They set a record for success.
Yes.
And you want to criticize them. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, your favorite part of the show and mine, plugs. Soccerheads New England is sponsored by financial advisor Rick Spencer. I talked to Rick today. You don't care.
I do. I think wildly of this man. I hear about him every week. I should think wildly of him.
So for years, financial consultant Rick Spencer has been speaking to parents. It's free seminars for soccer clubs, youth leagues, and the public. He'll help you get your kid into college, not just if he or she is a soccer player, but if she's a Middle English reading super nerd who goes on and on and on about Arthurian literature and her doll collection. To have Rick come speak to your club, team, league, or group, or to check out some of his free seminars in your area, call him at 978-857-7573. That's 978-857-7573. Also, if your soccer league, team, or club needs to raise money and you want to have a great time doing it, you should hire the Soccerheads Experience. It's more than a comedy show. It's an event that your community will never forget. Call Jim Ruberti or email him at soccerheadjim at...
Who?
Good point. Call me at 978-828-9532. Who knows if we're ever going to see Jim again? Or email me at dave@scampscomedy.com. And we'll do the best we can for you. It'll be a great event. You'll love it.
We've had two great shows so far, and they were a lot of fun.
They were. And here's the good thing. If you hire us now, no Jim.
Yes,
Just me and
new rule.
Paul.
New rule.
All right. So,
By the way, we do this every Monday.
yeah.
I consider this my day job. You mentioned that Jim has a pesky day job.
Yes,
This is his job.
it is his job.
Soccerheads New England, Mondays at 4.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving
Listen,
on.
I wouldn't hire him.
Dale's here every week.
Dale's here
Absolutely.
every
I'm
week.
here every week to make the sound nice and clear so everyone can understand what Dave's saying.
Where do you live, by the way, Dale?
Where do I live? In the North Shore of Massachusetts.
Right here where we podcast.
Oh, right here where
Yeah.
we podcast.
Right
This is
here.
a high-tech studio we have here.
It is. It's a nice
Lock my
studio.
dog in the bedroom for like 5 hours while we do the podcast.
The dog does not care for soccer.
The dog, like many dogs. I don't know. We've never really talked about it.
Yeah. You know, when I was playing Wellesley when I was little, I grew up in Dedham, and that was one of our rivals. This was youth soccer. A dog ran on the field for the last 8 minutes of the game and chased the ball around. And you have kid refs.
Yeah.
You can't really, so the parents didn't want to yell at the kid and say, stop the clock, let's get the dog. So we finished the game 8 minutes with a dog on the field. No one could move the ball. The ball was in the dog's mouth. He couldn't kick it.
That's
For 8 minutes, just trying to find a way to.
Nobody stopped.
We
the
lost
game?
1-0. People were pissed.
What would happen if that happened in Mexico? Wait. How old were you?
In I wouldn't want to be the dog
how-
or the kid in Mexico. I was about probably 12. I remember we lost 1-0, and kids were crying and pissed off. And as an adult, I understand it now. There's zero tolerance. You can't say anything to the ref, but people certainly wanted to.
And how old was the ref?
He was probably 10, 12,
10 to 12 years old?
yeah, maybe 14. You know,
Maybe
they let
14.
little kids ref
Yeah.
kids about their age.
Okay. And that's pretty funny about the dog. I don't know. What would you do about that? I know what Dale would do. Dale would shoot the dog. But we don't.
Possibly.
At least give it a good head injury.
So let's talk about the Revolution. What should be for the Revolution? Here, the great season. Obviously, the season is not. The season's not over because they've got the playoffs, but the regular season's over.
No, they have one more game.
Oh, they have
Sunday.
one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what day is that? Sunday?
Sunday, meaningless game, but nonetheless, they can add to their record.
All right. Now, what are they going to do in the last day? What are soccer teams doing? They've got their season, when they've got it wrapped up and they've got the meaningless game at the end of the year. Will they clear their bench? Will they play everybody?
My guess is they'll play some people because they haven't played since last Thursday. So you're talking about already 10 days off, and then when's the next playoff game? Maybe 4 more days.
Right.
So it makes
there
sense
must
to
be
get some minutes.
There must be a tournament, right?
Yeah, there's a little tournament at the end.
Aren't they going to stop aren't they going to interrupt the playoffs so somebody can go to
It's funny you ask because
CONCACAF or-
international break is the 14th. So
It is really?
the U.S. plays Mexico on the 14th.
Oh, man.
How's that going to affect the playoffs? I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know if they're going to throw it right across the same timeline. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not trying to downgrade what they've done. It's great, but I must have been sleepwalking this season because I never noticed that they never played the other conference.
Well, but they've had an unbalanced schedule for multiple years.
Unbalanced, yes,
Okay,
but you played the West 8 times.
Yes. Out of how many games roughly?
34.
Okay.
And who do I always mention when I say I'm worried about one team?
Seattle.
Didn't have to play them.
Yeah.
Another team, who do I always say?
That's all I can remember.
LAFC.
Okay.
Didn't have to play them.
That's right. I was going to say that.
Another team, Kansas City.
It was, yep.
If you go to the odds, if you're a gambler, Kansas City and Seattle
I like
are
the
right up
fact that
there.
you're closing your own questions now. Knowing
We
full
didn't
well.
have to play them, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, this is the...
Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, in a year where we're coming out of the pandemic, and they said, well, let's reduce travel, it's not a coincidence that you end up smashing the all-time record for points.
All right. It's
True.
not a coincidence. Well, I don't know. I mean, I kind of look at it like they're all professional. I know what you're saying. I know. But is it all that different than saying, they didn't have to play themselves. They had a great team. They didn't. But I get it. I get it. But I just look at it like the football analogy would be, for years, the Patriots played the Dolphins. The Dolphins were terrible. The Patriots played Buffalo. Buffalo at that time was terrible. And who's the third team I'm thinking of that was terrible? Jets. There we go. So the Patriots were in a terrible division, and so they had 6 wins on their schedule probably every single year. So it's not that much different than that.
Yeah, but, okay,
or baseball with the Central Division. Same thing.
Okay, but the West right now, from top to bottom, is stronger than the East.
Okay.
You have 2 teams that were expansion teams 2 years ago, and one was 3 years ago.
Yep.
So there's 5 wins right there.
Yep.
Toronto, because of the pandemic, is not allowed back in their country, so they had to set up a home base in Florida.
Can't have those Canadians coming in.
And they're generally a good team.
They can come in if they got to stay. We don't want them taking their good manners.
The geese got to go.
We don't want. Yeah, the geese do have to go.
Yeah.
But we don't want their good manners. What are they? What a waste of good manners to put them in Florida.
I was just down the beach. Okay, you got a beautiful beach down here. So you have seagulls, you have cormorants, and you have these Canadian geese. The cormorants, have you ever seen cormorant shit? Never. In your life.
Never have.
Seagulls is similar to bird turd. It's flat and it lays flat.
He doesn't know what a cormorant is.
The black bird that dives into the ocean.
know
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a large population of them down there.
Oh, I
But
didn't
why
know
do the
that.
Canadian geese have, like, rolls of green shit? Why can't they just drop a turd or do what a cormorant does? Because we've never seen its excrement in our lives.
Dale thinks that a cormorant is something you hang on the door at Christmas time. And I agree with him.
Okay, we're way off base there. So back to what I'm saying.
All right, so what you're saying
It's 2
is-
expansion teams.
Yeah.
Toronto is generally a really good team. They suck this year, and I would imagine it's because they're not home. They're away
Okay.
from their families, living in Florida. Every game is a road game.
Yeah.
So there's 3 teams, and then, like I said...
Wait, you're saying that this team couldn't be in Toronto, couldn't be in Toronto.
Yes.
So they were stuck. Where was it? Where are they stuck?
Florida.
Florida.
A very
Whereabouts in Florida?
alluring area of Florida.
Whereabouts in Florida?
I believe it was near Tampa, I think.
Near Tampa.
Yeah.
Nobody wins in Tampa. Nobody wins in Tampa. Is that what you're saying?
The Tampa Bay teams live in Tampa.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So these other teams, the Toronto team.
I'm not saying the schedule
They
was
live-
easy, but it was easier because we didn't have to play the West.
Fine.
Okay?
All right.
I mean, the All-Star team, 28 All-Stars.
I'm just saying that, teams win in Tampa.
Okay.
I'm just saying teams have played in Tampa and they've won.
Here's my worry.
This
okay?
has been a really good year for Tampa sports teams. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying.
Here's my worry.
Yeah.
We all know when you're playing sports and you have an easy schedule and you get to the playoffs and you start playing good teams,
Yeah.
you wish you had played harder teams.
Okay.
No, they can't make their own schedule. They had to play whatever they were given.
Right.
But I think at the end of the year, you're going to wish, if you don't win it, that you played Portland, Kansas City, Seattle, and we're ready for that.
Portland too?
Portland's good.
If only they had played
There's a
Portland.
lot of good teams out west. I don't
That's
know who
the
wins the
thing.
West.
I think that it's funny because in pro teams, obviously, there's more parity.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that it shows, or the way it shows itself, and it shows itself in multiple sports. Anytime you've got divisional play, heavy divisional play, like they have in baseball, and you've got a weak division, like they've had in baseball, like they had for years in the AFC East, the American League Central for years was a weak league. And et cetera. I think the NHL at one time, I'm trying to think of